Hey YouTube, how you guys doing today? Kevin here, coming back at you with another video. This is the 1977 Yamaha gt80. Well, this bike right here, I have decided a while back that it is going to become part of the family of bikes. So, in order to make this thing part of the family, it has to be unique. What do I mean by that? Is everybody on these bikes is running points ignition. You know how I feel about points ignition? There is nothing wrong with points ignition. There's nothing. Other than the fact that they can be hard starting, they're unreliable, and, well, at high RPMs, they can cause the engine to skip because of, what do you call it there? Point float, which you don't end up with on, what do you call it there? CDI ignition. So we're going to put a CDI ignition in this bike since I'm keeping the bike. So we're going to go and get you guys in the stand. But before I do, please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so when I post the video, you guys get to see it. And if you could do me one more favor, share the channel. That helps us grow. And the more we grow, the more we can do, and the more we're helping other people out with their projects. So let me get you guys in the stand and let's get crack-a-lackin'. Alright, so before I get you guys in the stand, I want to talk to you guys real quick about a couple things. Alright, so some of the components that I'm using. So I'm using all the parts off this bike that are going to be used on this particular build from a Yamaha RX 50. Yes, a 50cc bike. Okay, it kind of looks like the it's a Yamaha special. You can get the parts right on eBay, so it's not that crazy of a build. Okay, so I just wanted to put that out there. In fact, the flywheel, that's the points ignition flywheel. Here is the CDI flywheel. It's got the 4 magnet right there. There's no cam. You see right there, there's no cam shaft on it to open and close points. This is what the CDI module looks like. I mean, the module, but the pickup. You've got your CDI coil, this one right here, and then your lighting coil. So if you have like a bike that has lights on it, this is the ideal unit to use. Has the coil, and this is what the ignition module looks like, the CDI unit. And that is pretty much it. The parts that I'm using, the wiring that I'm using, you can see how everything's plugged in. Okay, except for these 2 black wires here, which I had to cut. So what I did was I unraveled and untaped an actual harness from the RX 50. And I did this so I could separate all the stuff that's not needed. Okay, but I need this for later on. So, this is the bare bones unit. Came off that bike. So, we're going to install all this on the bike. Get this bike right here with CDI. And then we're going to do other videos showing you how to use that lighting coil and so forth, so forth. So this is part 1. There's going to be more to it. So let's get crack-a-lackin'. Let's get this stuff ripped down and get this points ignition out of there. Alright, let's get that flywheel ripped off. That on there. Oh, there we go. Stretch, Kevin. Stretch. A little. That'll come off like that. It'll be right in there. Flywheel puller. Always use a flywheel puller. Don't use a hammer or anything like that. You can really mess up your bike. Okay. That part is out. Screw that. And then we're going to take off the 2 bolts to hold it in. I got the wrong bit. Okay. And yeah, that's out of the way. Now I got to rob a part off this. You can see that clamp. You can see that clamp that holds the wire in. Mine is missing off of mine. So I think that clip is too small. So I'm going to leave that attached, but I'm going to grab another one. Yeah, because this is too many wires. So I'm going to grab one from Macquarie and clamp that down. Right back. Alright, so I put the clamp on right there. You want to make sure you have all that. I got OCD about stuff like that. I like things accurately placed and put on there and all that happy stuff. Alright, so then this is going to fit up inside here. Somehow. Should fit right on the mounts. Right like that. And like that. Make sure the wiring is cleared. Make sure the clamp is in the right spot. You don't want to pinch or cut wiring. So remember that. That's the most biggest bugaboo of the whole entire thing. Actually wonder if there was a clamp there. Let's take that right off there. I think it was just protected. I don't remember a clamp being there, so let's try without the clamp, shall we? Yep, there we go. Alright. So when that fits on there, it should fit tight and nothing should be interfering with it. Okay, you should be able to go all the way to the block and tighten it down. Okay. Okay, and the bottom one. Okay. And then that's going to sit on there just like so. Then this wiring right here is going to be fed up this way. Move the grommet down, just like that. This is your wire right here for your neutral safety light, this blue wire. Alright, so we're going to have to probably take this off one more time, push that wire in a little bit more towards the back. Because you can see how far the grommet is. Now this ignition system came off the same style engine, so I know it fits this particular motor. Everything's the same. Okay, so we'll take this back off here. Push this down a little bit. Kind of see if we can make it fit a little better. Got room. That route too. Yeah, we can do that. That actually fits better, right? Like that. Boom, comes up to the top, not the bottom. Alright, so then that's what we're going to do with it. Yep. That's the way we're going to go with that. Okay. Alright, slide that grommet back up where it was, to that line, and then that fits right there perfectly like that, and then here's your blue wire for your neutral safety light. Okay. Alright, that, my friends, is it for the installation of that part of it. Now all we have to do is put the magneto on. So there's no crap on the magnets there. Alright, here's a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut. Alright, so I cut the wire up top here. We're going to pull that all through. Don't loosen it. That's the kill switch wire. I'm going to tip the mic forward without knocking down anything. Get it back into place here. Open up the seat. Undo the wiring. It's 2 clips. And drop out the old magneto. Alright, now we're going to take this new wiring, tuck it up inside there, preferably on the same clips if you can get them. Okay, alright. Then I'm going to reach in there and I'm going to tuck them in. Okay, so what I did was I fished it up through. I put it back on its original clip. Let me see if I can... Sorry about that quality here, guys. This camera thing is awful. Alright, let's see here. Alright, so I fished up the wiring. I plugged it in. I coiled it up because there was a lot of extra. We'll modify that later on. I just wanted to get that out of my way. Okay, and then what I did was I plugged in the black with the red stripe wire into it. So those two are plugged in. This goes up to your kill switch. There should be 2 of them. There's one there, and then there's one. What's the other one? The other one's on that plug harness. Hold on. You grab that. Just plug into the coil. Okay, so on this harness right here, there's a black wire. These 2 are going to be joined together here, and then that's going to be plugged into there. Now, I'm only doing a rough fit right now, so this is going to just be zip tied abruptly right up underneath here so it doesn't go anywhere. I'm not doing any type of, you know, actual fitting on the machine until I get it all up and working. Then I'll go ahead, drill hole, mount this properly. But for right now, it's just going to be zip tied up there so it's secure and it's not going to go anywhere. And then of course I have these 2 black wires right here. So these 2 black wires right here go up to your kill switch. So I'm just going to take those, twist them together a little bit. And then this wire right here, this orange wire, is now the ignition wire. That's going to go up the tube, up the frame. Okay? So for that wire, we're going to put that into the wiring harness holder where the other one went. And we're going to run that up the bike. Okay? So, alright. So now we're going to continue running this orange wire, which is now the new coil wire, up the frame. Alright, and now we're going to have to extend that black wire back down the frame. I had to cut it up there because that's going to go, I'm not going to destroy that point's ignition because I'm still going to use it. So I'm going to extend the black wire from here down to there, make my 3-way connections. But I'm going to use wire nuts because it's only a temporary modification until it's all tested and works. So first, we got to take off that ignition coil. I'm going to zap that off the frame real quick. And I'd like also to note that the screws that held in the magneto plate were Phillips number 2. To hold the coil in is a Phillips number 3. And here's a good shot at the 2 types of bits. One's huge. This is the bigger one right here, the PH3. If you can see that or not. The camera's kind of... And then the bottom one's a PH2. Okay? Those are very important because if you use the number 2 bit on the magneto and on top, you could strip something out. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to destroy, we want to preserve. Now I have converted a lot of Kawasaki's over to CDI and I'm very happy with them. This is actually my first Yamaha doing it this way. Okay, so let's unplug this. Unplug the coil. There's a ground we have to take off. And voila. Okay, so that part's all done. Okay, so there's the coil bracket right there. This is the actual one for this bike. I'm going to take this all apart. All that modification stuff. Alright, I'm going to zap off the second bolt, and then we're going to try mounting the coil in. I don't even know if that coil's going to mount. So here's a tech tip for you guys who are my Kawasaki fans. This coil happens to be the same ignition coil used on the Kawasaki KV75 and MT1. There you go. And it's also the same ignition coil used on the Kawasaki KD80M. Right there. Pretty cool, huh? A lot of these bikes have interchangeable parts. A lot of people don't know that this is the same exact coil. Okay, so this coil right here is a Yamaha coil. You can see the Yamaha symbol on it. And it came off that machine. However, it's not going to fit onto this bracket. You can see how fat it is. I can do one of two things. I can cut up this bracket and use that. But because it's a CDI bike, I can try to find a CDI coil that would fit. Alright, so I don't have a coil that fits it properly. But I do have this little coil right here. This is one that they sell on eBay. This says it's for CDI ignition. Okay, it works on 6 and 12 volts. These are the ones that my Kawasaki people are buying for their CDI ignitions. And they're not working. And the reason why, because there is no module built into this. If you want this right here for a CDI, you have to get the CDI unit that has the CDI module, then this will work. Okay, this is just a regular standard run-of-the-mill, nothing fancy ignition coil or CDI coil. But this would work on this bike. The big coil will work on this bike, but I have to modify this right here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind this out a little bit so I can modify it to work with that the original coil that goes with this unit. So I'll be back. Alright. So I trimmed it back a little bit, and basically, when you cut this thing, you're going to cut it, see where the crease is right here? Basically, you're going to cut up on that line right there so it fits the actual coil in there, and you have an air gap all the way around, okay? The air gap is important, because if you don't have the air gap, this thing could actually chafe into it, and then you're going to cut into your coil. You don't want to cut into your coil. I really didn't want to do that type of modification, but I really didn't have much of a choice. Alright, so the coil is all modified to fit into the frame. Let's mount it up, and I'm leaving. I got to loosen up this one. Also, I changed the length of the screws. I put this coil is a little narrower, so I used a smaller screw. Out of that, it would be poking all the way through, and I didn't want that. So I'm going to take that screw back out and then modify the mount it back up. And to show you what I did, let's see if I have the screws actually in the wire. Hold on. It's not very much at all. I only took off a smidgen. So, and this is actually going to pull it back a little bit more because it's going to have the ground strap on it. Alright, so I'm going to get that mounted in, back up onto the frame. Two mounting screws. Slide the coil back under the frame, into the frame I should say. Okay, ignition coil is mounted. This is a CDI ignition, which is going to require a resistor plug. Just so you know, I'll be getting into that in future videos. So let's get that plugged in, and then we're going to call it for right now. So let's see here. Get you guys in place. One of the technical things you got to know on this one, on this particular build, is the orange wire right here does not go up to the black wire where it used to go up to. Okay, this black wire now has to be extended back to that module. Okay, so that's, I just wanted to throw that out there and let you guys know about that. Alright, so let's get this thing plugged in real quick. Keep it just like that. Fill the little clip in there. Pull back the slack. We'll take up that slack at a later time. Alright, take off that coil. And then we're going to ground this wire back to where we had it. If you guys remember correctly, we had it wired up to the coil mount. That's where it's going to remain. Alright, so we got the ground wire wired back up to where it's got to go. This is all going to sit up top of here. So the ground wires to that coil bolt right there. The ignition coil is in fact plugged in. So we're going to leave that right up there like so. That go up there like that. And then this black wire once again is going to go all the way to the back. And it's going to be joined together with these two black wires at another time. So that's all I got for you guys for tonight. Hopefully this works out good for you guys. It's a little bit of a modification. Tomorrow night we're going to go ahead and test it out and see if we got ignition. Alright, so I'm out. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions or any comments, by all means, please send them my way. I'm out!